Welcome. I'm Alice Alicia Jones, and this is a continuation of my Living Consciously videos, which I do every Friday at 1 o'clock. I missed last week Friday because it was Christmas, and I hope no matter how you celebrated your Christmas, whether alone, together, um, however you celebrated it, I hope that it was a blessed Christmas for you. Today is the start of the new year. And every year, one of the very first things that happens is that most of us come in with a whole series of resolutions. The thing is, usually by February, those resolutions are nowhere to be found. And they just kind of like, oh my gosh, they've sifted to the back of our head. So I'm going to give you a whole different take on resolutions. For about, I'm going to say 12 years, maybe 15, my guides have come in with me and given me a theme for the year. And from that theme, I had to decide what it was I was going to do. And last year's, or I should say, last year's theme um, was radiate light. And this year's theme, I'm sorry, radiate healing. That's what last year's theme was, radiate healing. And I noticed as the months went by that more and more and more of my clients came to me, not only for readings, but for healings. Considering that I was doing this long distance, that's a real tribute because they had to feel what I was sending them. They had to feel it in order to come back to me. And so, fortunately, they did. And they were really very happy to receive the healing because in this era of COVID, uh, I absolutely refuse to take any clients in person, no matter what happened to my clientele. It didn't matter to me. uh, I just wasn't going to take the risk. Um, and I just did find out this morning that my brother is in the hospital with both COVID and pneumonia. He's been diagnosed with both. So as soon as I get off of this video, I'll do a follow up um, to find out what's happening to him. But I found out just before I came on, so there was no time. This year, my guides came in with an interesting message. It was full steam ahead. And it's my job to interpret that message. It's my job to be able to figure out, well, what does that mean? And effectively, as I sat there in meditation, thinking about what does full steam ahead mean? Um, the topic for today's video came in. This is both on YouTube and on Facebook Live. So basically, they wanted me to review goal setting. And the most important thing about goal setting, and I know the days that I don't do this, my day does not run nearly as efficiently as the days when I do this, when I follow this program exactly. The very first thing, very first goal that I have set for myself every day is to connect to the divine within. How I do it is first, I have a series of morning prayers. And those prayers and meditations come from favorite prayers that I have learned or have turned to in over the years. And one of them right now happens to be the prayer for the unified chakra from Archangel Raphael. And then after my morning prayers and usually a slight meditation that it doesn't take long, maybe 5 minutes or so. I typically, before as I go into meditation, I make sure that I have crystals both in my hands. I hold two crystals, one of which, well, both of them, each hand has a different color, but they're both the uh, that's not Florentine. Oh my God, the name escapes me. I guess I'm thinking about Tony. Um, anyway, the crystal that I have at my root is a tourmaline, and it's a tourmaline kind of laced with mica. Mica is what they make mirrors out of. So it's both black and white. And to the left on my, because I'm usually sitting down, and so on right at my left uh, hip is a larger piece of uh, the uh, it's the orange one, and again the name escapes me. It's amazing. I use these every day. At my right is where I connect to the angel, the angelic kingdom, and that's seraphonite. And then right at my thighs, in the very first one that I put is a heart shaped piece of rose quartz. And then right above it, closer to my knees, I put a piece of merlinite. And merlinite, if you, it's a sliver of merlinite. If you hold it up to the light, you can actually see through it. You can see a rim of light around the inside of the merlinite. And I know the crystal that I have on my left is a orange crystal and citron. That's it. It's citron, and the ones in my hand are fluorite. Originally, one piece of fluorite was purple. It's now become very light, and the other piece of fluorite was green. So I have like a beige and a green. And the fluorite is just a very, well, the tourmaline and the fluorite are very, very grounding. They're just really connect me to the energy of the earth, and the seraphonite connects me to the energy of God. The merlinite, the rose quartz, connects me to the energy of God. The citron connects me also to the energy of the earth. So that's what I use there. Before I get out of bed in the morning, I give Reiki to myself. I go down all my chakras and I give Reiki to myself. And then after I say my morning prayers, I and arrange the crystals, I sign my hands both with Usui Reiki and with Karuna Reiki, because I also learned Karuna Reiki. Then I read 5 books. I read, obviously, I always start with a passage from Own Your Power, Day by Day, my book. And I read Jesus Calling, God Calling, and a one on the Course in Miracles called Holy Shift. And these are, again, just daily meditations. Takes me a minute, half a minute to get through these. And then I end this session by reading passages, maybe a page, maybe two, maybe a chapter from 2 additional books. And these are books that I just really have been guided to read. Today's was from a a book on Mary Magdalene, the Gospels of Mary Magdalene, and the other book was by Barb. I always forget his last name. Something like Faisal, uh, Fossil. It's Nothing in this book is true, but that's exactly the way things are, is the name of the book. So, and it's interesting because most of the book is about Drunvalo Melchizedek's um, ancient secrets of the flower of life. Most of it is about sacred geometry and how sacred geometry continues to appear in our life. Even though I've read both of Drunvalo Melchizedek's books twice, they're very complex. And so it's always good to get another review. And so that's basically my morning ritual. And I know that when I take the hour that it takes me to get through that entire ritual, that my day just seems to move from one thing to the next in a very fluent, a very balanced, a very harmonious manner. So I encourage you to find some type of spiritual practice that is important to you and is going to be a way of you connecting to the divine. Um, the second thing on accepting that, so that's with goal setting. The second thing that I was told to share with you, and I know I've discussed it in other on other forums, other formats, but this time they were absolutely the guides were absolutely adamant that this had to come through today. And it is for us collectively as a human race, one race on this planet called human, um, to accept responsibility for our creations. We are creative beings. We are a little piece of God with the same powers as God to create. We create with our thought. And from our thought comes everything else that we see. And if your thoughts are nothing but scattered and up, down, negative, positive, um, scattered in every direction, you are going to have scattered results in your life, which brings me exactly to the last item that they wanted me to share with you, is to focus and concentrate on one goal until it is completed. Then move on to a second goal. Whatever is that one goal that you want, choose the most important. Doesn't matter what it is. This is not anybody else's business. This is not anybody else's life. This is your life. And you need to live according to what is important to you. Because ultimately, when you go and have your life review, contrary to what the Catholic Church tells you, there is no judgment of you. You are not going to be judged according to the things you have done and then given a sentence, or you go to hell, you go to purgatory, you go to heaven. You are simply going to be given a life review, which is going to show you choi- choice points that you made where you could have chosen differently. And it will also show you the outcome if you had made different choices. Right now, it's very interesting to me how my clients all seem to come in waves. I have two clients that seem to be in my life right now. One group wants to have contact with people, loved ones who have passed. And starting this year, I am going to dedicate one session a month just in talking to those who have passed, communicating with those who have passed. And that is on my website, www.aliciajones.com. It will be held on Zoom and it will be available to anybody. because I have one set of clients that seems to be completely interested only in that type of information, and another set of clients are, it's like, what can I do about increasing my spiritual growth, increasing my ability to connect with spirit? And so I hope that for that set of clients, that's the reason I'm giving these videos weekly, is because I want to be able to share literally with the world, um, free, what it is that you can do, ways that you can help yourself. Because ultimately, this is why my book is called Own Your Power, not harness somebody else's power. Own your power. Every one of us is created equal. Every one of us is given the same spiritual gifts. It is up to us to uncover them. It is up to us to determine where we can go, how far we can advance, and how, excuse me, how basically comfortable are we with sharing our gifts? Because I know that there were many, many years in my life when I had such a pull to spiritual messages, and I so wanted to do exactly what I'm doing now, but I was afraid. And it was such an crazy, unnamed fear. I didn't know where it came from, but it was all pervasive. It felt as if it was coming from inside of me. It felt like it was integral to who I was. And one of the gentlemen that uh, that came to speak to us yearly, up until 2 years ago, Leroy LeBeouf, absolutely identified the cause of my fear, the root cause. And he basically said, "Oh, easy to figure out. Persecution. You were persecuted in 39 lifetimes for sharing your truth, for being who you were." And I feel that is inherent in so many people who are on the verge of wanting to step out but are afraid. I'm pretty sure that it's that remnant of memory that makes them tap into the feeling of persecution, and they don't have a clue where it comes from. That memory is basically trapped in our bones. And that memory is part of what we have to eliminate from ourselves, part of what we have to get rid of. And I know that one of the in one of the classes that I gave in December, the statement came in from my guides that they said, "You have to overcome the fears that held you back in the past." And because it is, this time is too critical, and you will be given the right audience to share this with. You don't just necessarily go around trumpeting what you know to anybody. You will be given the right audience. I know who my audience is by the questions they ask or by the comments they make. And I also know that there is no way in the world that people are attracted to my videos unless they're of a similar ilk, a similar mindset, a similar sense of, this is what I want to do. This is what I have to do. So I bless you. I thank you for being here. I've gone a little bit over time. I try to limit these to 15 minutes. I thank you for watching. I'm so grateful to be here for you. And I have not had an opportunity to read the comments from the last time I did this, but I'm going to do my best to read them today and to read today's comments. Um, I wish you all a happy new year, a blessed year, um, and a safe and healthy year. Thank you, and I will see you Friday next week. Welcome. I'm Alice Alicia Jones, and this